Singapore's central bank has set up a new not-for-profit platform to work with economies around the world on financial technology. The Global Finance and Technology Network, or GFTN, will offer expert advisory services, including to regions such as Africa and Latin America. It hopes to unlock new opportunities in such markets where Fintech is expected to grow 30% per year by 2030. GFTN wants to address gaps in talent, infrastructure, capital and policy in such places. It will provide digital platform services to help small firms access new markets and do sustainability reporting. It will also grow an investment fund for technology startups. Singapore Fintech Festival will also be scaled up into a premier global event. The platform will be helmed by the central bank's current chief fintech officer from the 1st of February.
We'll have an opportunity to work with the wider market in partnership with some of the markets. Our counterparts will be partners, fintech partners, government agencies, where we can collaborate on projects of mutual interest. So with that partnership, we're able to do more and expand more of our agenda as a global fintech hub.
Now, for more analysis on this, we're now joined by Anton Radin Clow, partner and head of financial services at KPMG Singapore. Mr. Radin Clow, welcome. First of all, why do you think the Monetary Authority of Singapore wants to set up this network and collaborate with so many other economies?
Thank you. I think the first thing is the MAS has set up a very good platform already. I've been in Singapore for the last 4 years. Before that, I was in London. We looked down from London at Singapore and the Monetary Authority with a great deal of envy. I think the small red dot of Singapore is punching well above its weight when it comes to being recognised as a leader in global financial services. And a part of that is the fintech story that's been told to date. So I think they've got something to build on that is very, very strong. That'll be good for our economy here in Singapore as well.
But why do you think we're doing this now, at this point?
I think MAS has taken things to a certain point. We have a very strong Fintech Festival. The Fintech Festival in Singapore, which will be next week, is the world's largest financial services conference by far, by number of headcount. So that has taken us to a certain point. The second element is that I think the MAS is very much focused on our trade routes and trade corridors around the world, particularly those with Africa, Latin America, and Europe and Asia. And it sees the opportunity right now to be able to seize that a little bit more as those markets start to digitize. They very much look to Singapore and other parts of Asia for guidance as to how they want to progress. And so the opportunity now as we digitize and we change our financial services economies is a good one.
So you talked about Africa and Latin America. These are essentially faraway places from Singapore. What can talent and fintech products from these locations offer to Singapore?
There's good symbiosis here in Singapore. We're the gateway to Southeast Asia. Some of our big issues around, for example, climate change, financial inclusion, the availability of credit to consumers or SMEs are identical to what we see in sub-Saharan Africa or in Latin America. So I think we can learn from each other. We shouldn't be pious enough to think that we can teach them. I think we can learn from those markets as well. So a good exchange of knowledge. Secondly, the investors that serve Singapore for fintech are exactly the same investors that serve those markets. So from the investor perspective, and Singapore being the convening party, we can help with the provision of capital and investment into these fintech. So from that perspective, that works well. And then the final point is this notion at the moment of the global south, that any economy south of the equator have a lot of commonality in the way that they've been underserved by traditional financial services in the past. That's where fintech can fill the void, can help provide services to both consumers, SMEs, and supply chains in a way that's not been developed to date. So I think the learning opportunities, the exchange of capital and ideas is a good one.
Let's also look at trends. Where do you see local and regional fintech trends heading towards, and is Singapore equipped or ready to meet them?
I think we're very well placed. There's some good projects at the go around payments and remittances cross-border and reducing the cost of those to the average consumer. So workers' remittances, which is a big topic for us in Singapore, is an obvious one. The second is around climate change and decarbonisation. Here in Asia, we're probably the greatest recipients and also potentially the greatest opportunity to lose when it comes to climate change. And MAS is really leading the charge on that. A lot of that is to do with technology and data. So that is a great opportunity for us in the region to truly lead globally and be able to influence policy as well as investment decisions elsewhere. So I think we lead in that area. And the final one is around cross-border trade. ASEAN and the 10 ASEAN nations have been working hard to be able to create a common set of policies to help cross-border trade in our 10 economies work very well and build the bloc strength globally. That's an area where I think MAS really plays a leading role as both coach, convener, and supporter. And again, I think we can take that talent and we can take that policy to other markets and serve ourselves well here in the region.
And we are also looking forward to the Singapore Fintech Festival that's happening next week. The GFTN platform wants to scale this up into a global premier event. What does this really mean and what needs to change at the festival to achieve this goal?
Well, firstly, I think they're doing a lot of things right. They'll probably have 70,000 to 80,000 people here next week. No other place in the world, Las Vegas, London, Frankfurt, no one has that convening power that the MAS, Alavandi have pulled together over the last few years. So I think we've got to say we've got a good model already, but we shouldn't be complacent. So I think the real challenge with these sorts of industry conferences is to keep them fresh and keep them current and keep them topical. The topics that are in our industry right now that are really relevant for Singapore, for our jobs and for our wealth and for our national security, obviously artificial intelligence, that's right up there. And so the local sort of Fintech Fest, the big one, is embracing that very, very heavily. The second is our move to digital currencies and central bank digital currencies in its own right. Again, MAS leads that to a degree, and we need to double down on that. And that takes a global response led by Asia. So I think that's a good place to work as well. And then the third area is around the provision of credit. We're still not getting capitals to businesses around the world that really need it. And I think, again, MAS has a social purpose there. It understands that capital equals jobs, equals security for families around the world. And again, I think we'll see next week in the Fintech Fest a large focus on financial and social inclusion.
All right, we're definitely excited to see Fintech Festival next week. Thank you so much for that. Anton Rudden-Clow, partner and head of financial services at KPMG Singapore. Thank you.